All right, so let's jump into today's discussion. I am going to open my slides. Let's get started. Okay, so the farm law reform, right? The farmers are protesting about it. You must have noticed it is all over the news. And I mean, we don't know what will happen with those protests, but how will these changes impact the legal sector, right? So it's important for us lawyers to know and be prepared for. Will it create any opportunities? Will it create problems? So India is on the cusp of a revolutionary reform, okay? And I mean, I don't know what will come of the protests. There may be some amendments. I hope, I mean, there may be, I mean, farmers are demanding a full rollback of the reforms. I hope that does not happen because it's really good, in my understanding. But the farm law reforms have far-reaching impacts. So we are going to talk about what are these impacts that can be there, and how and what kind of legal work can come from the agricultural industry in the future. Okay, so I mean, many people have said that this is a 1991 moment for Indian agriculture. Agritech companies which have been working on agricultural technology, they're very happy. They are saying that this is a really big thing, for building the supply chain in agriculture in Indian, farm, like the entire farm to fork model can be rebuilt. That opportunity is now there. But of course, we need to first understand, it doesn't make sense to just talk about how good it is without really understanding what is changing, right? And you can make up your own mind after understanding all the changes, whether it is good, bad, ugly, whether it's going to help or it's all the same. You can make up your mind after understanding all the changes that are actually happening, right? Okay. And I would request you, I mean, these are a lot of changes. So if I miss out some points, do share the points as well, that you can think of or you know of, right? Maybe you have read something, maybe you have studied the bills and you can share something. Please go ahead and do that during our discussion, and keep sharing your questions, keep sharing your thoughts in the chat. Would love to, know more, right? And also remember that this is a great platform to network with each other. You can connect on each other's LinkedIn, Twitter, and share your profile links, because there are a lot of people online right now here. So you can follow each other. You can later on, of course, when you post each other, support each other, and it will be great because all of you must be having similar kind of interests to be here, right? So not everybody wants to know about these details of such laws and career opportunities, and not everyone is interested in corporate law or all these things. So definitely, it's a good idea for you to connect with each other, and you never know what opportunities open up from such connections. Okay, so opening up the way for the reforms have opened up the way for contract farming, open market for agricultural produce, and private capital and FDI in agriculture for the first time. It's not like there was no possibility of FDI before, but it was hard to come by, and I'll explain why it was very difficult earlier for any such FDI, etc., to come in, right? While you are sharing your, your links of your social media links, also share why should people connect with you and how they will benefit. Like, how can you help each other? Who are you? All of that also shares. Then only people will actually follow you. Otherwise, people may not follow, right? So give them a reason why they should follow you. Just except for sharing your links, also write, how you can help people and etc. It will make sure that people actually follow you. Okay. So moving on, we have one of the most inefficient and backward agricultural systems in the world, right? India has one of the terrible agricultural systems. Now, you might say that why are you saying bad things about India, right? But it's very hard to argue otherwise, because the facts are so obvious that you cannot deny it. It's staring on our face. The Netherlands, a country that is smaller than the size of Delhi NCR, exports 3 times more food than we do. Okay, so such a small country with very high population density, very little free farmland, produces so much food that, you know, our whole country, huge country with, you know, millions of acres of farmland, we are not able to produce that much. So it's not like, you know, we are, I mean, productivity levels are terrible, like one of the worst in the world in terms of what we can do. And not only that, we are consuming a lot of water, you know, creating resource scarcity or water scarcity in the whole country, and producing very little agricultural produce as a result. And it is still, you know, like, I mean, it's just, and it's almost like 50% of India's population is working in this. And if you have such low productivity, then it is not going to help anyone. People are going to continue to be poor, which is exactly what is happening. The Netherlands is the second biggest food exporter in the world. US is the biggest, while India is only 11th. Okay, so our, like, there is a massive scope for India to grow in agricultural sector, right? We have massive potential if we use advanced agricultural technology and private capital. Okay, so it is like very crazy that what kind of opportunity exists in the legal agricultural technology and not legal, in agriculture sector, in terms of how much growth can come from there. It's astounding. India can have a huge advantage given how much land we have. We have much cheaper labor. We just have to increase our productivity, and we can really be the world's leader in food export. And instead of, like, you know, even the health of Indians is at stake, because we are all consuming really you know, not so good food in terms of what we are consuming, you know, heavily chemicalized, heavily you know, sometimes we are consuming a lot of pesticide with the food we are eating, and it's a very different hormones and, like, you know, unsafe to consume food we are consuming all the time, and it's all very problematic situation. Okay, so the farmer is suffering, the consumer is suffering, everybody is suffering. The current situation is quite unsustainable. Okay, and this is not how it is anywhere in the world. And imagine the countries which are very high cost of labor, they are so much ahead of us in agricultural production and agricultural export, and India have all the labor advantage, like, you know, wages are low, costs are low, still we are not able to get anywhere close to that, right? So you should be having a competitive advantage, but it, because of very low productivity, very terrible implementation of technology, we are falling behind. Okay, and this is not sustainable. So we could be the largest food exporter in the world. We can end world hunger as a country. Okay, we have so much potential, and we can have our 50% of Indians who are working in this sector. It has 1% growth year on year, and which means it is barely, it's not even beating inflation. And because of this, the people who are in this sector are getting poorer and poorer every year, and it will continue to happen. Nothing can stop this unless we have an improvement in the productivity of our agricultural sector, which requires infusion of capital, infusion of technology, right? The moment that happens, everything can change. There has to be investment, there has to be technology, and without that, this cannot change, right? So agriculture, which is a huge sector in the country, so many people working there, it is a drag on our GDP. If this sector grows really fast, as it can, the potential is huge. If it grows that fast, then we can have a better GDP than we ever had in history. Okay, it can be actually pull forward our economy rather than being a drag on it. Okay, but on corporate exploitation of food materials increase the use of chemicals and other harmful substances in crops? No, it will not, because, I mean, there is no reason why to think so, right? For example, if you're buying toothpaste, it is all in the hands of corporate. It's free market, right? Government is not coming and ensuring that your toothpaste is safe, but it is safe, right? If there's a problem, then it is reported, action is taken, right? So, most of the things we are consuming, everything we are relying on corporates. It's on the free economy, right? So if one corporation is bad, some other corporation comes and provides things. It's like saying, imagine, like, people complain that today there is less competition in the telecom sector. But imagine in the 1990s, there was only BSNL and MTNL. It was so hard to get a connection. And if you remember what kind of connectivity we had, right? And today we have so much more connectivity. And although competition has reduced over time, more consolidation, etc., but even then there is massive improvement of the consumer situation, right? No doubts about that. And the same thing is about anything that has been free market in India. Things have improved, and around the world it works. And in India also, we have proof that wherever there is free market, things have become much better. And wherever government has monopoly or something like that, it has been terrible. Okay, like, it has never worked. So anyway, so all, and if you say that corporations are all bad, they're all exploiting, where is it happening? Look around you. Like, whenever, I mean, can it be worse? Even now it is very, really bad. You don't know what food you are eating. It is, highly, contaminated food you are eating all the time. We have no guarantee that the lohki you are cooking tonight is not, injected with some hormones, right? Prices are up in telecom sector and connectivity is bad. Sure, but compare this with what it was in 90s, right? So we wanted we applied for a telephone connection. And when things got better in the 90s, we had to wait for 2 months before we got our connection. And then when somebody came home to install it, they demanded a bribe of 2,000 rupees. That if you don't give us this bribe, we will not install it only for you, right? And from this kind of situation, today we are having, you can just get a connection off the shelf anywhere, right? You just have to give some documentation, no comparison. And connectivity back then, I am doing at my home, I am doing this webinar, you are listening to it. Surely the connectivity was much worse 20 years back. A video could not be watched, right? So, I mean, hardly you can compare. Like, it's like, it is surely bad, but it's not. I mean, at the same time, I have a 100 Mbps connection. You might also be getting it for a few hundred rupees per month or 1,000 rupees per month. You can get really fast internet connection, right? This was not there. And this is all because of free market, right? And I mean, hardly we can argue that the situation was better in the 90s when BSNL and MTNL was providing us services, right? Things are much cheaper. Things are actually working much better today. So and it's not like this has worked. I mean, we had government APMC for the last 60-70 years, and farmers are committing suicide, right? And even we don't know what we are eating. There is no guarantee of what we are eating. Farmers are not getting prices. Anyway, let's look at it. What has changed, right? Let's go through things one at a time, and we'll discuss about that. Okay, like, let's examine, right? See, we are not interested in the politics here, right? The politics, people have their compulsions. They will say, they'll do. But for ourselves as lawyers, we need to look at things a little objectively to understand where our opportunities can come from, right? So, and where we need to be prepared. So we are not interested in the politics today. You might have some, political inclination, or you might have some political issues with this law. But let's see what is happening, right? So what are the laws that actually got passed? So these are there are 4 laws that got passed. So this is one: Farmers Produce Trade and Commerce Promotion and Facilitation Act 2020. Then Farmers Empowerment and Protection Agreement of Price Assurance Act 2020. Then Farm Services Act 2020 and Essential Commodities Amendment Act 2020. Okay. So what are the actual changes in the law that has happened? Let us see. And how that will make any difference. Okay, so there were this APMC Act. So basically, agricultural produce could be sold only through mandis. So there was a legal monopoly created in favor of these mandis, that all these things have to be sold in the mandi only, and where things are regulated, right? You could not sell anywhere else. This was done to prevent exploitation of farmers 70 years back. Not 70, maybe many, I don't remember how many years back, but something like that, many years back. Now, you needed a license. They basically, these mandis had a monopoly on the trade of agricultural produces. And if you wanted to be in this business for various things, for example, if you want to do contract farming, you have to register it at the local mandi. And they were basically local regulators of agricultural business. Okay. If you ever wondered why vegetable, rice and dal or whatever are so expensive, while farmers are not getting money, and you heard that, oh, middlemen are making money. So now you know who are the middlemen. Basically the people at the mandi, right? And middlemen are making all the money, and wondered, I mean, this is your answer basically, that it was all happening at the mandi. The farmers would have to sell it at the mandi, and not only that, sometimes farmers could not reach the mandi. So imagine that you are selling it at your farm land, and the mandi, local mandi, is like 20 kilometers away or 50 kilometers away. You will not be able to take your things to the mandi. So you might be selling it wherever you are, and somebody will buy it cheap and take it to the mandi, and sometimes you could not take it at all. So you had to, do whatever you can do at the local, this thing, at the local level. You will sell it cheap if possible, without, and nobody can know. There's no supply chain to take it from you to somewhere, right? It is a mandi system that made money in the middle. Removing the middleman will increase the money in the hands of the farmers and make it cheaper for you to buy food. At least that is the idea, and even the farmer will get more money. So that's at least theoretically, this is how it works. Okay. Do online stores like Big Basket, Grofers, etc.? Yes, they also had to buy from the mandi only, and they were they could not buy directly from farmers, although some people tried to do it, but actually this was under the law illegal to do so, and people were very afraid. I mean, to raise money also, they were scared that if they tried to raise money, investors will be scared to put in money, that you cannot do it directly, right? So this was definitely one problem. And for example, if you can directly contract, and you are allowed to have contract farming with farmers directly also, but there are so many restrictions that people did not do it. Now imagine that you want a certain kind of crop or a certain kind of quality in your food or certain thing you want, so you cannot actually go to a farmer and ask them to do it, because so many restrictions on what kind of contract you can have and all of that. How the mandi will decide. Model contract farming, I'll explain to you shortly what are the problems with the Model Farming Contract Farming Act. They were not being, for example, you have to register any contract you sign, it has to be first registered at the mandi, and if the mandi is not cooperating, you will not be able to do it. And mandis would not cooperate because they did not want their control to go away. And contract farming never took off because every contract was supposed to be registered at the mandi. Can you imagine? So you cannot just enter into a contract with a farmer, and the terms will also be dictated by the mandi only. And then what happens is that if you enter into a contract with a farmer and the farmer does not deliver, you can't do anything about it. So these things don't work, right? There has to be some solutions, some recourse if there's a contract, right? Contract farming is legal in India provided you register them with the mandis. Despite huge potential, the mandis never allowed contract farming to take off in India. Free from the clutches of local mandi committees, contract farming can finally flourish in India, right? So this is definitely a big reason that why you need to get out of the mandis, because if you continue with the mandis, local mandi committees can be highly corrupt. There are a lot of influences, a lot of interests. You can never predict how they behave. Nobody knows how the mandi will behave, and we can, like, it's a very difficult situation for companies that are working. This law removes barriers to interstate trade of agricultural produces, creating a unified market across India. So this was also a huge issue, right? So this law does not change, at all deal with MSP, and neither it says that MSP will be removed. So this is a different thing. That is the protesters are saying, give us more MSP, give us MSP, guaranteed MSP on everything, all of that, but that is not there in the laws. Okay, MSP is not talked about anywhere in these laws. This law removes barriers to interstate trade of agricultural produces, creating a unified market. So there was also this problem because there are small local markets. The price difference can be huge in different areas. And now basically the situation is such that most of the consumption does not come from local areas, but it comes from a larger market. Like maybe you are producing something in Punjab, but you're selling it is consumed in Bengal or consumed in Tamil Nadu. Just 1 second, guys. However, there were massive restrictions on what can be shifted from, how, even if you want to take it out of one state and go to another state, you were not allowed to do so. There were huge laws about it, regulations about it. Similarly, if you wanted to, store things, if you want to stock certain goods because of Essential Commodities Act, you could not do it. There are huge restrictions on everything. Okay, I will talk about the legal work for lawyers later on. Okay, so I will show you all the legal work, and then you can say if your opinion, is it reducing or increasing. I agree that this decided by SDM is kind of ridiculous, but even then it will not reduce work for lawyers. I'll tell you why in shortly. Okay, so this law removes barriers to interstate trade of agricultural produces, creating a unified market across India. Right. This law also provides a framework for electronic trading of agricultural produce. Okay, so honestly saying, just think about it. The biggest problem today is that discovery of market. So let's say I am sitting in a small district in Bihar, and where there's a certain price of, let's say, I don't know, brinjal. Okay, eggplants. There's a certain price of eggplants. Now maybe there is a bigger demand of eggplants in Kashmir or in Kerala, right? There's a shortage and the price is 3 times more. But this person in Bihar cannot know what is the situation in anywhere else, right? So, but if there is a online system, an online market, which is possible now, this was not possible 70 years back, right? All the food local, it was only local market. Today it is possible to have a global market, right? Including at least a pan-India market. So imagine that the person sitting in Bihar can get the best price by selling it in another state, which was first of all illegal before under the current law. Somebody could not just buy and move it. You must have seen so many, people posting on Facebook during the lockdown that I have so much cabbage, it is getting wasted in Maharashtra in so and so place. Somebody please come and take it. Just pay me enough to pay my bank back and so on. But it cannot still. Why does this happen? It happens because the market is only local and you cannot take it out. It's illegal to deal directly with farmers or take it like this. Okay, it's a huge problem. So this is the condition of farmers, that they are begging that somebody please come and take our produce, it is all getting wasted, right? But actually somebody cannot take it. It is illegal to do so. Okay, it's also prohibits states from collecting any fee, cess or levy for trade outside the APMC markets. Okay, so the new law says that this is an issue for the states. States are saying that then it is going to impact our revenues if you are not allowing us. So this is also a reason states are protesting against this law. Now, but honestly, states will be able to connect GST on this. If there is online trading, interstate trading and so on, they'll still be able to collect GST. So I don't think states will lose so much money from this. The Farmers Empowerment and Protection Agreement of Price Assurance and Farm Services Bill introduces contract farming in India for the first time. It's not correct, it's not the first time, but it is introducing it in a new form. It provides a framework of trade agreements for the sale and purchase of farm produce. The mutually agreed remunerative price framework envisaged in the legislation is touted as one that would protect and empower farmers. Okay, this is what the government is claiming. The important thing is that businesses can now bypass the mandi and directly procure from farmers. This is the change, that they can bypass the mandi and directly procure for farmers. It's not like they'll have to go to the mandi and say, okay, I want to do a contract farming. Please tell me who should I contract with. And the mandis, if it depends all on the mandi's efficiency, how nice they will be about helping you to find contract farmers. All of that is gone now. You can find a farmer and directly deal with them. Provide capital and assured procurement, and even pay for insurance, ensuring a better outcome for farmers. Okay. So actually now what is possible is that if you are contracting with a farmer, you can tell the farmer that, okay, I'm going to provide you this much capital, or I'm going to provide you this much technology, or these are the things you need to use. This is the standard of crop you need to produce. There's a huge problem with Indian food being exported is that it gets rejected. Okay, it gets rejected by any foreign countries because of excessive pesticides, excessive chemicals being used as fertilizers and so on. A lot of times Indian shipments of food go and they're returned. They're thrown away into the sea because they're not allowed to enter the country because they don't match standards. But all of that can change now because a corporate which is going to export can implement a stringent standard. So that would increase the price also for the farmer. The farmer will benefit. There's more money to be made. So there's a chance that the farmer will make more money, right? Provide capital and assured procurement. So you know that your thing is going to get procured, and there will be insurance also, right? In the insurance at the cost of the buyer, ensuring a better outcome for farmers. So farmers can have much better. You can imagine, you are saying that a farmer has no say in price and blah blah, but if you think about it, a corporate, rather than they can make much more money by producing high quality crops, by by getting like simply they can the yield can be tripled, quadrupled, it can be 10 times also more if the proper technology is used, proper things can be used, it can be much more productive. So rather than giving less money to the farmer, they would want to increase the productivity and make money from the same. Okay, and that would be working better for the farmers also. The amendment deregulates production, storage, movement, and distribution of the specified commodities, right? This reform is intended to attract private sector capital and FDI into the agriculture sector, as it will remove fears of private investors of excessive regulatory interference in business operations. So today the reality is that if you want to put in money in such things, you will not be able to. If you want to invest in agriculture, can you? What are the agriculture companies where you can invest? Who will go and improve the production and so on? Nobody does it because the laws make it almost impossible to realize any such thing. Okay, but that is going to change under this. Now you can do that, right? So people can say, okay, I want to invest in farming. I want to invest, in companies that are engaged in such activities. We can also expect more investment for infrastructures like cold storages, agri-tech startups, and food supply chains. Okay, supply chain is the most critical thing. It is not there in a lot of places. There has to be a supply chain that connects every small town, every district, so that food can, actually very easily move from one place to another. Imagine with the efficiency which an Amazon or Flipkart is delivering our products from any corner of the country within 2 days, 3 days, you are getting delivered whatever you need, right? Now that same kind of efficiency, that same kind of supply chain, if it was there for food grains, if it was there for vegetables, then everybody will benefit. Consumers will get a lesser price, farmers will get a better situation, and it will change entirely, right? You will not be restricted to one small local market or a local mandi for that matter. Okay, 20 to 25% of India's horticulture produces simply get wasted. Imagine, like 25, whatever vegetables are getting produced, horticulture produces simply get wasted. This happens due to a lack of supply chain and cold storages. Okay, also lack of market. You made something, but everybody in the area made the same thing. There is not enough demand. Some other place might be having a huge demand, but things are not moving from one place to another quickly enough to benefit from this. So that is why I was explaining the Amazon kind of supply chain where things are moving very quickly according to demand and supply. Since the private, and then things won't get wasted also. Since the private sector was not really allowed to participate in the agriculture business or trading of these commodities, private capital was hard to come by in the supply chain. With these new changes, we can see a lot of capital flowing into this sector over the coming years, which puts an end to this wastage. Okay. It is important for corporates to get involved in farming from stage one if agricultural export is really going to take off. Okay. Indian farmers do not use advanced technology, uses a lot of chemical fertilizers and pesticides that make a lot of produces impossible to export and cannot ensure delivery of produces due to flood, rain, drought, whatever kind of situation, and they don't have the technology that can stabilize these things, stabilize their production, right? Use of advanced technology that large corporations can fund will end these problems, as there are many ways to save producers from inclement weather and produce high quality food items without using much water through techniques like aquaponics and so on. Most importantly, this is going to create a competitive market environment in agriculture for the first time through an unified market and cut wastage from the produce. Okay, so this would be a major change. Farming contracts, an entirely new category of contracts. You know, this is something that definitely is going to keep lawyers busy, you can imagine. Okay, I skipped one slide. What does this mean for lawyers? Before we go into anything else, do you want to add anything? We discussed a lot of different changes, right? Anybody wants to add anything that you think I missed? Anything that I missed you guys can think of? Then we'll talk about how it is going to impact lawyers. What does this mean for lawyers? Okay, so let me run you through, because I can't see anybody in the chat. Are you guys there? Did all of you understand what I said? Did you follow me? Just write yes in the chat so I know you are there and you are listening to me. Lawyers will have more work to do in paperwork. Okay. Okay. So definitely one major area of work, Akash, you said paperwork. So definitely this is one paperwork, right? Farming contracts, an entirely new category of contracts, right? It's a huge industry. Nobody actually made any contracts here. But when you have formal situations, there will be contracts. Right now, a framework is being provided by the law already. So you might be just following that framework. But over time, you can predict that there will be, there would be a more contracts. And not only that, you are thinking only a farmer corporate contract, but it's not just that. If you realize there are so many services that will be provided as a result. Okay, so apart from the farm contract with the farmer, there will be transport contracts, there will be entire supply chain, there will be service providers providing that service which was not being provided before, right? And there will be a bunch of other things like insurance will be increasing, so there will be lot more farmers insurance, there will be a lot of technology service being provided, so many different things would come up. Okay, so there's a whole lot of new contracts that will be drafted related to the agricultural sector, which is not signed at all right now. Then Indian farmers bear the risk of price volatility. Today what happens is that the farmer is bearing the risk of price is in less, price is more, depending on supply and demand. And although the farmer doesn't want to, he is completely at the mercy of that situation. Okay. In the market. And I mean, right now they are saying, they're saying that we want minimum support price, but basically what they are saying is that we don't want to suffer from volatility in the price. Okay, if I have invested some money in producing vegetables, if I have an MSP, the minimum support price is only available for few things. Mostly it is not available for large number of producers, nor is it possible for government to give it. So they are the ones who are suffering from prices, randomly increasing or decreasing, correct? So definitely it is a big problem that people are facing, and especially when it comes to perishable goods. So they don't have the infrastructure, they don't have even local infrastructure to protect their whatever they produce. Some grains and all can be stored also, they can store at home, but so many other things that they will not be able to store at home, they need to quickly sell. And that is the situation why they have to sell it cheap a lot of times, and they suffer from the volatility of the market price. But if they sign a contract, right, then the price volatility risk get transferred to the companies who are in a better position to handle. Okay, so they will get an assured return on the whenever contract farming is happening. They know that what they are getting into, what price they are getting into, and it's definitely a much better situation, right? So farmers and food processing companies, or first FMCG companies, okay, for specified commodities at prefixed prices will be a game changer for them, right? It's very cynical to think that these companies will only exploit them. If they exploit them, how do they benefit? They need to continue a relationship for business. They want this law to continue. They don't want the government to step in. They don't want the SDM to step in and change things, right? So if it is in, farmers would be constrained to produce the crops that have big demand for export to developed countries and also have demand within the country, right? We have a domestic market also, which also has a demand, but we have so much land that we can produce 10 times, 20 times, 30 times more than we produce today if we use proper technology. As you can see, a small country like Netherlands is producing more than us, much more than us. So you can understand how much more we can produce, right? So there is no problem that there is lack of land or lack of farmers. The problem is productivity is so minuscule. That is the problem, right? So if productivity is increased, then you can produce a lot more. We can produce more than needed by the entire world also. But for that we have to be competitive in terms of productivity. So contract farming agreements between contract farmers agreements between farmers and food processing companies and FMCG companies for the supply of a specific. Imagine that you are going to before you even start, somebody is coming and giving you money, technology, advance payment, saying that okay, this is what you produce, okay, and we are going to give you the insurance, full support, and when you produce, we will take it away. You don't have to go anywhere. So that is so good for the farmer. They have no risk. They know exactly how much they'll get out of it. Okay, farmers will get an advance as well as assured price from businesses that will compete with each other to get the best produce. So imagine there are different farmers, and the best produce, companies will compete with each other to get the best one. So the best farmers will have a big demand for their services. Lawyers will be working for food processing companies, FMCG players, and even there will be large farmers. There are many rich farmers in India. They would also want their lawyers to negotiate certain. There are farmers who are earning in crores, right? Today they have no incentive to hire a lawyer, but if they realize they can earn more money, they have big contracts, they will definitely. There are people with a lot of acres of land and they can make a lot of money, crores of rupees, and they will hire lawyers as well. Okay, large farmers will hire lawyers. We can expect at the village level, organizations will come together, and there would be NGOs and panchayats. They will also provide similar legal services to smaller farmers as a paid service, or even legal aid where it is not possible. India has a very poor post-harvest infrastructure such as cold storages. Farmers cannot be expected to use or create cold storage facilities, right? Who's going to create all this cold storage? Government is going to create. Government doesn't. Government has never succeeded in creating very good infrastructure in India. Just compare with the telecom infrastructure. Government in 50 years built nothing, and within 10 years, the private sector changed everything in telecom, right? Now, same thing, India doesn't have cold storage. I've been hearing since I was a kid that there is no cold storage. There is not enough cold storage. Because of that, all the produce is getting wasted. Okay, and if private players are allowed to put in capital, they are likely to build cold storage facilities and efficient supply chain within years, right? It don't take even much time. You can see what happened with e-commerce, how fast it happened, right? removal of the mandi system, or even if it is allowed to continue, but just you are making it non-mandatory, and middleman creates a big incentive for the large end buyers to invest in this ecosystem and supply chain, we can definitely see a lot of projects and investments happening in this sector in the coming years, leading to additional work for lawyers. So you can imagine if all this supply chain, there are big projects, right? Cold, if you're setting up huge cold storages, if you're setting up huge, supply chain, warehouses, everything, all of these are projects that involves construction, that involves engineering, procurement. So there is a lot of work that would be created for lawyers. There would be financing of these things. There would be investment to make these things possible, right? So that itself is a lot of work for lawyers in terms of contracts, in terms of investment law, in terms of finance, projects lawyers, all of that, right? Investment in agri-tech and agri-business, right? So agri-tech companies have already been raising investment, but this reform will be a game changer for them. They have already expressed their joy and happiness that finally they can do their work. Their activities used to be heavily restricted because of these laws. They couldn't do much. Anything they want to do, it would be like, no, not allowed, right? So that would be changing. However, this law opens up a huge horizon of possibility for them. This is definitely going to increase the work of startup lawyers as well as investment lawyers. We may also see increased merger and acquisition activities in this sector as it will become more and more attractive for investors, right? And there will be big companies in this sector in the years going forward if all of this works out. FDI in agriculture is also a very issue. It's allowed. FDI has been allowed in agriculture, but through automatic route in certain sectors such as horticulture, mushroom farming, etc. However, the biggest sectors like food grains, pulse, edible oil, these were controlled massively by Essential Commodities Act that spooked foreign investors and kept them far away. So there is a huge global market of, say, pulses, edible oil, but you can't really come to India and set up a supply chain to supply these things abroad, because it's not allowed by the Essential Commodities Act, and foreign investment never happened on these areas. Okay. India saw around 350 crore of foreign investment in agriculture in the last financial year, right? So before the lockdown that happened, the 350 crore of foreign investment happened in agriculture, but very low compared to the potential. We will expect to see a lot more investment now as government signals that private capital is welcome. This is also not anything else, just a huge matter of signal. Government is saying that we are welcoming, we are changing, we are welcoming private capital. We are making these sweeping changes in our law that private companies can come and do this business, right? Before, like generally government never changes anything. Whatever reforms they did, nobody did any reforms in farming, because farming is a vulnerable sector. There are so many farmers. It's a big vote bank issue also. People are scared. Okay, so I guess the Modi government is now very confident that they have made such a legal change, because otherwise no government, every government spoke about this. Even the Congress government before 𝗶 Chidambaram proposed this, but they did not make finally these changes. Okay, so it is a big signal from private capital is welcome through this reform, and it would definitely, you can imagine that huge amount of work it can create for law firms. If we see 10 times increase, 10 times growth in investment in agriculture from 350 crores to few thousand crores, which is very much possible. It has happened in so many other sectors, in power sector, in solar sector, in startups. We are getting thousands and thousands of crores of investment, and that is possible in agriculture sector if we can remove all these artificial restrictions. Okay, the massive changes can happen. Okay. Akash Agarwal is saying that this will also impact the prices of food available in the market and the end consumers, won't it? Affecting middle class, lower class, below poverty line people's budget. More capital invest will prompt for return on those investments too, and it will affect the farmers' profit too. No. This is a very myopic thought process, Akash. It does not work like this. Okay. if there is why is there capital investment? Capital investment is not this way that, okay, let's take some money from pockets of the farmers, let's take some money from the pockets of people who are buying. No, that's not the point. That is not how anybody is going to make money. How they are going to make money is that, okay, in one piece of land, you are producing only 100 kg of paddy, but because of technology and on investment, now you are producing 1000 kg of paddy. Okay, where you are producing spinach of 50 kg, you are producing 500 kg of spinach in the same place. That is how productivity increases. That is how farmer profits more, and the capitalist also profits more. And in fact, the price is likely to come down because of this synergy. In the entire, there is a market which is across the country, and if any place the price is up, then wherever the price is down, from there stuff can come. So it changes everything, right? It is really, really good. The prices are likely to be less, and volatility will go down because it's a bigger market where it can all get balanced out. Contract farming disputes. Where there are contracts, there would be some disputes. Goes without saying that lawyers will get to work on these disputes. Of course, you are saying that you can only take it to the SDM and all of that. But as we all know, that if you cannot challenge it in the maybe in the civil court. Okay. Anyway, civil courts, nobody goes to civil courts. They are horrible, right? Even if, for example, if there is something before the SDM and there is a contract worth 1 crore or 2 crore or 5 crore, which is highly likely, okay, then are you saying that the company, let's say it is Hindustan Unilever, they'll not send a lawyer to argue before the SDM? Surely they will, right? Who will they send? Okay. Similarly, even if there are self-help groups or organized NGOs, whoever, there will be lawyers involved even at that stage. I refuse to believe there won't be lawyers working in this process. Second, even if everything, okay, there is high chances that things will be challenged before constitutional courts now and then. Nothing else to read before high courts. Certain contracts, certain orders of SDM will be challenged, because even if there's an order from SDM, it can be challenged. It is an administrative order. It can be challenged before high court. People will take it to high court. And if there is an unconscionable contract and so on, there will be a lot of such arguments and all of that. And contracts are not related to farming related contracts. Contracts will be related to so many other services which are associated, which are supply chain related. There will be back-end services, and all of those contracts will also lead to disputes and major litigation work. So I believe that if this comes in, then there will be a significant jump in litigation, arbitration. Imagine, it's not just the business of farmers that is changing. There will be the supply chain, there will be cold storage owner, there will be supply chain, there will be transport, there will be so many contracts that can actually go into dispute. Not only that, import export is also likely to increase, and there would be such lot of disputes there also, contracts and disputes there also. Okay. We can expect some defaults by contracting companies when the market prices of farm produces would severely go down for some reason, right? So I have contracted to buy this thing for 100 rupees per kg, but in the market the price goes down to 10 rupees per kg for some reason. If there's such volatility, then if that happens, then there'll be defaults for the company, and then there can be defaults from the farmers. If I have promised to buy at a certain price and the contract has been entered into, but then the price in the market is much more now. So imagine that for 100 rupees, the farmer agreed to sell at the time of taking advance and sowing the crop. But later on, the price, let's say, is available, market price is 300 rupees or 200 rupees. Farmer may say, I will sell in the open market, I am not giving it to you, take your advance back, right? So these things will also definitely lead to disputes. And I mean, this has happened everywhere in the world. Wherever there is contract farming, there are these kind of disputes always arise. In the US, everywhere it arises. Okay. So, and even there would be like, unforeseen events such as flood would push prices above contracted levels. So these things happen. This would call for enforcement of these contracts. Okay. So it will be very interesting to see what enforcement mechanism actually comes up It's not like the SDM can enforce these contracts. When a farmer is refusing to deliver, okay, what SDM will enforce the contract? How will he enforce the contract? It's very interesting, remains to be seen. Increased commodity trading and electronic trading of food items as well as unified market for food producers would create a whole new volume of trade. And for the first time, this will come under the ambit of the formal sector, increasing compliance related work. So whenever there is things are becoming, business is coming into the compliance sector, it is great news for lawyers and CAs and company secretaries, simply because it increases compliance related work as well as work related to technology and security law applicable to commodity trading. Okay. Lawyers can expect increased work under legal metrology related to packaging, labeling of food, because so much of things are, going into the formal category, right? So from more informal business that happens in the countryside today, more and more agriculture business and sale, all of these things will go into a formal structure, and there would be application of these kind of laws, because for small traders, you cannot enforce these laws, but whenever corporates start doing it, there would be legal metrology related provisions which will become applicable, starting from packaging, labeling of food, safety standards, quality related legal issues will arise more frequently. As India becomes more efficient and produces high quality agricultural and food produces more profitably, we can expect a massive increase in agricultural export from India. Okay. India today stands at 11th position in agricultural exports, and we can definitely rise to the top. This would mean a massive amount of work around import, export, tax, and compliance work for lawyers. Okay. So overall, as the agriculture sector rapidly increases and becomes increasingly formal, there will be a lot more work for lawyers in the years ahead from this sector. What is important to focus on is the formalization of the sector. When a sector is informal, there is no work in it. But when it becomes formal, there is a lot of work from it. Just a good example of this is what happened with, local trade. So when things were being sold by the local shops, kirana shops, it was informal sector. Tax was not being collected on it. There was no IP, nothing, right? But when e-commerce started happening, now suddenly there are so many more brands. You have to register their IP. You have to pay taxes, you have to comply to tons of laws, you have to employ people following the employment laws. So suddenly there is a massive explosion of legal work and compliance around e-commerce today, right? Same thing and much more can happen with agriculture. So how to prepare yourself from the boom? So few things, one is that you should learn to draft comprehensive contracts and start thinking how these farm contracts will look like, right? You should even have a working knowledge of investing law, investment law, okay, to get ready for this boom. So there will be private equity investment, venture capital investment in agri-tech companies, supply chain companies. There would be a lot of investment in, infrastructure. So project finance work would be there. Okay, so you can learn more about that. Agritech is supposed to get important with the reforms. So technology law itself would be a very, very important area for lawyers to benefit from this. And there is a lot to know about tax law and securities law when it comes to know about these reforms. Okay, because taxation work, GST related work will increase because it's a huge sector. Massive amount of GDP comes from this. If it becomes formal, there will be a windfall work of tax related work and compliance also related work. Securities law, because of commodities trading, will increase. Commodities trading can massively increase because of this. Even now there is a commodities trading happening, but it is much smaller, right? There's a commodities trading exchange and all of that, but because of restriction on movement of goods and all the prices, it's really not efficient today. It can be 1,000 times bigger, and that will happen if these laws over time will see that change happening. So that can increase securities law work. Lawyers would also expect a lot of compliance work as India becomes efficient and produces high quality agricultural exports. So import, export, customs kind of work, definitely, right? So I have covered these things One thing I want to tell you about before I want your responses, right? What do you guys think? What do you want me to add? Or do you have any questions? Happy to answer. But any points also you're welcome to make about this. If you disagree, agree, whatever, please let me know. There is a workshop I'm doing on 7th. So I will show you what that is all about, right? Okay, please share in your comments, but I'm showing you this 7th. I have a 3-hour workshop. This is free of cost, but I want all of you to attend. Okay, it's simple lawsikho.com/law firm webinar. Workshop, law firm workshop, sorry. Okay, this is the link, guys. I'm sharing with all of you. Sharing on YouTube also. Okay, I've shared this with you all. Okay, and please register for this workshop. What I'm going to cover in this workshop, let me run you through quickly, right? So this is about what challenges you'll face while working in a law firm and how to overcome them. And, just a few things we'll cover. This may be interesting to you, how to become a sort of a junior resource in your team. What do you have to do to get the maximum bonus and fastest promotion in a law firm? How to avoid late nights and working yourself to death. How to get your work approved at the first shot. How to earn the trust and respect of your team members and seniors, how to acquire a great reputation within your law firm, and so on. Okay, so please be there. One more thing is that, are you part of our WhatsApp community? If not, I would love you to join. I'll show you. This is here. WhatsApp. Just a second. Okay. These reforms will be creating monopolies like Jio, Amazon, Walmart. There is Walmart also doesn't have any monopoly. You are saying they'll create really large companies? Sure, maybe there will be really large companies. But why do you think it's a monopoly? What monopoly has been created? Geo still I can say that it's like it has monopolistic tendencies, but nobody says that Walmart has created a monopoly. There are hundreds of e-commerce companies thriving today in India. Amazon has no monopoly in the world. Competition law regime will also need to be effective. Sure, yeah, I agree with you. There should be very good competition law regime to deal with large businesses. Otherwise, they might misuse their power. So that's very important. Without that, there will be market failure. There won't be free market if there's no good competition law. Okay. Other questions, guys? Any other questions, anyone? Oh, there are some questions have been posted here. Are the trade unions or Mandi creating misconceptions against the law in the heads of farmers? I don't know. Honestly, I'm not an expert on this question. But have any of you read the law actually? Have you opened these laws and read the provisions? Any experience on that? Okay, Akash. So what are your thoughts? What provision did you like or you didn't like? Anything you think about this? Deregulation and dispute resolution mechanism. So tell me about dispute resolution mechanism. What did you think of it? And how do you think it can be made better? I also think that you should make maybe specialized courts for this. But I think they don't want to make the farmers afraid that they have to go to court, because farmers are afraid to go to court. So that I think they try to avoid it by But what are your thoughts? You guys think that it would be fair to let the farmers take things to the court rather than the SDM? Arbitration. Arbitration. Farmers wouldn't even want to go to court. There has to be like really cheap arbitration for this. Like something like consumer courts, which is really easy, doesn't have much, where farmers can maybe go and argue their own matters if they want to. Like consumer court is quite a successful thing, right? It's not too difficult to go to consumer court. Okay, I'm going to share with all of you the corporate law group that we have. community where you can join. Oh my God, this group is full. Let me see. Okay, this group I'm going to share has a few slots still left, so you can join here. Separate forum like consumer code will be good, right? Conciliation, mediation, and SDM are only available mechanisms. Nothing in particular to look out for farmers. If they are strong armed by corporates who definitely have more resources than farmers, it will create ruckus if they're gonna be in general court and hiring lawyers and fees. It's gonna take time. Absolutely true. Don't you think there should be middlemen between farmers and corporates for contract farming, because farmers would find it difficult to enter into contracts? So the middleman will exploit them now, which is what happens today. There is a middleman today, and the middleman is exploiting the farmers. Farmers make no money. See, I think we underestimate the farmers. Why would they not be able to negotiate with the companies? SDMs have no experience and understanding. So this is the problem, right? SDM arbitration and consumer in courts are better. Yeah, so this is definitely a challenge because, you know, contract, even today, I mean, forget this farm things, right? Everything that is being, just think about all the cottage industry, right? There are cottage industries, people are producing things in cottage industry. Are they not getting good money? Are they getting exploited? Or even when you are, it's like saying, you know, you are applying for a job, then you are getting a job, right? It's not like you're not getting a job and you are negotiating your own contracts. Sure, the company probably has more power than you have, but even then the companies are trying to make good service conditions to attract good talent. That is the same thing that will happen, that, you know, corporates will make good systems, good price, good things to attract the better farmers, better produce, better farmers, and so on. Definitely people who are not, who are doing a bad job may get bad prices. That is definitely a situation. Communities can be formed, NGOs can be there, panchayats can step in, you know, a lot of farmers can come together and hire lawyers. Specialized farmer tribunals, yeah, with expert members could be a good idea. I agree with this, Kapil. Very good idea. I believe that law should mandate written contracts in order to prevent exploitation of farmers. Yeah, sure. Written contracts will be there. That is definitely the case. There will be written contracts. In fact, the laws specify the you know, what the contracts must include and must not include. A lot of standard forms are provided in the law. Okay, all right. So I think, you know, over time farmers will learn to take care of themselves. That is what I believe, right? You know, if you are making more money, then you can figure out how to handle small details, and farmers can make more money from this kind of a situation, because if you are forcefully restricting them to the local mandi only, then you can get, imagine, would you like, imagine you are from a small town and I tell you that you cannot go outside this town to do any work. You have to work here only. Whatever is available locally, you have to be happy with that. That is the situation with mandis today, right? It's like you have to only sell whatever you produce in this town only. You cannot, in this district only, you cannot go and sell this anywhere else. This is the situation. I mean, if I tell you that you have to work in your city only or in restricted in one area, it will be such a destructive thing for your career. And the farmers are living in that condition forever, that they have to sell it in their local mandi. It cannot be taken away from anywhere else. It is impossible to deal with. This does not work. There has to be a change in this. Okay. Yeah, yeah. People, when you do, you, if you are working, if somebody is working in a company, right, as a, even as like a manager or executive, whatever, right, the company can hire better lawyers, but still people are doing jobs, getting their salary paid, their salaries are increasing over year. Nobody is as in as bad situation as farmers, right? Farmers are in the worst situation today. Their corporates are hiring you, you are getting jobs from corporates, they are hiring lawyers, they're paying money. Now you can say lawyers can go to court, but still the corporation can hire better lawyers than you. Corporation wants to do business. They don't want to fight legal fights. If it is possible to make money, why will they not make money and engage into all these legal battles? That doesn't make sense. That is not how corporates function. Corporates want to make more money, and they are ready to pay you more money if they make more money. So corporates will be ready to pay farmers more money to make more money. The rest of it is just fear mongering. Okay, I mean, there is no reason to think. I mean, everything else is working because of corporates in this country. You know, we are not getting exploited every day, right? We are getting good results. So in most of the times, right? So it is unreasonable to think that farmers would only get exploited. This is an argument. I have been hearing about this argument for a long time. But just tell me this, that when you are buying everything in the open market, corporates are not exploiting you. Only in this they will exploit. And now there is a monopoly. There are corrupt people exploiting already. How bad can it be? Right? Okay. All right. So thank you for joining me, everyone. Yeah, there can be farmers, producer organizations, there will be NGOs, there will be self-help groups, and smart lawyers, public-minded lawyers will go and create organizations to help lawyers, to help farmers and so on, right? All right, great. Let's hope for the best. Okay, definitely a change was needed in the agriculture sector. Let's hope this will be the beginning of something good, and let's see what happens and where this ends. All the best, everyone. Take care.